Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we have your G1 Finals review. The whole thing is done. We have an absolutely batshit crazy episode of AEW Dynamite. The Hunter Hearst Helmsley reign of the era, I should say, of WWE main roster continues afoot in a very good week. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Now, I'm Heel Vagey. Yes, I'm the real Vagey. All you other Heel Vagies are just imitating. So won't the real Heel Vagies please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. I almost made it through.
Shit, you did better than I would have.
Sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
I'll let you go ahead and take that because I was going to stand up, but I'm not the real Hill Vagey. So on that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Man from Ringside podcast, volume 270, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saying, hashtag boo the heels, it's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. Man, I'll tell you, there is very few times where I am speechless when it comes to wrestling. Always got an opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent. I always got one. Man, there was a couple times in the last 24 hours I had had my mouth agape and couldn't say a goddamn word.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beer Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beer?
BFR West in the house.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm the vice president of talent development creative. I got the move that'll drive this girl. Anyway, yeah, I'm doing okay.
Hey, are you getting...
I feel like I had to think.
Yeah, that was really good. Are you getting Zach only in your left ear?
My right ear.
Only in your right ear? Shit. We're going to take Zach off here for a second. A little bit of. So we're coming at you from steamy St. Charles, Missouri. It's not as bad as it has been, but it's not very good either. So this has been a pretty wild week of wrestling. So let's just get right into it. Zach, why don't you kick us off with that one count?
1, 2, 3.
I know we just had the G1, and we got Reba's excited about the G1. And everybody's excited about the G1.
You know who she likes? She likes Jonah because he's the big dog.
But I mean, I feel like there's just like so much like controversy surrounding this last episode of AEW Dynamite that you just got to talk about it real quick, and then we can get into the real WrestleMania, as Bill likes to call it. So yeah,
That's right.
Last night we had AEW Dynamite, and we knew it was going to be like a worthwhile show. It was one of those. I mean, I feel like every other Dynamite anymore is like some kind of. It's got a name, Quake by the Lake, whatever it is. But this was like presented by Game of Thrones. But anyway, we opened up with CM Punk, who, by all accounts, went into business for himself before promoting his inevitable match with Jon Moxley by calling out Hangman Page for a rematch, even though Hangman Page was not in the building. So
actually, there are pictures of Hangman Page in catering at the time when he got. Yeah, I didn't know either until digging into it a little further late last night, and then I saw more pictures this morning. You know, different accounts, blah blah blah, but showing the same picture. Apparently, he was in catering when Punk called him out, but didn't hear that Punk called him out.
John Silver tweeted it.
Right.
Yeah.
John Silver tweeted he was like taking a bite. Yeah. He wasn't on the show, I should have said. That's what I meant. Yeah, a little bit more clarity there. But yeah, so essentially CM Punk calls him out, and he is not scheduled to be on the show. Therefore, he is not dressed. He's not ready to come out. He's not scheduled to come out. He's not going to come out because he's not scheduled. And then CM Punk calls him, does the whole, it's not cowboy shit, it's coward shit. And then he goes on to promote his match with Jon Moxley, which was actually a pretty phenomenal segment. But before we get into that, I feel like we should kind of maybe dissect, because, dude, this is the kind of shit that we live for. This is the kind of shit, this is like why we do a wrestling podcast. I know that the G1 was awesome and the matches were phenomenal, and we can use hyperbole and superlative adjectives to describe the matches themselves, but like,
oh, I will.
This is the dirt, right? This is like, I want to hear everybody talk about this. Like, I want like other, this is what I want to talk about. I want to hear what people have to say about it. I want to hear what people in WWE have to say about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. It crosses borders here, especially because it's CM Punk.
I've been looking shit up about it for like the last hour and a half.
Exactly.
I've been watching old Hangman Page promos and shit, trying to pinpoint where he got pissed off.
Right.
Go ahead, Jason.
Well, apparently Punk was pissed off about something that Hangman Page said in an interview, where I'm going to paraphrase it by basically saying that he doesn't need or want to listen to AEW vets. That obviously includes CM Punk. So, of course, CM Punk takes that personally, and then that's part of the reason why I think he kicked off Dynamite by calling Page out. He knew he wasn't dressed. He wasn't going to be scheduled to come out, so this is a golden time to call him out. Jon Moxley made a very good point when he came out. I hate to jump ahead, but it kind of ties into what I'm talking about, is where he was like, you think that microphone in your hand is power. And you can kind of see CM Punk kind of nod. He was like, yeah, but he's always said that. He said that in WWE. So this isn't anything new. Him going into business for himself, the pipe bomb was going into business for yourself too. So, I mean, there's a pattern of behavior that's now kind of being established, and Moxley kind of hit on it. When he called out Hangman off the jump, my initial reaction was like, oh, hell no, you better come out and whoop his ass. And the more and more CM Punk talked, is the more and more I looked at him as the heel. Just because, not knowing that Hangman Page was in the building, I'm thinking he's calling him out. He's not in the building, so now he's going to take liberties of what he can say because he ain't around. By the end, I'm like, man, Moxley, you need to come out here and whoop this motherfucker's ass. He is talking mad shit. He ran down Moxley, Kingston, Hangman Page. That whole first 5 minutes was straight up napalm to where nobody survived. I'm looking around like, damn, man, what the fuck? This is the opening fucking segment? For me, don't get me wrong, it was amazing to watch. Absolute drama. But I'm looking at CM Punk as the heel going forward.
Yeah, he's the heel going forward. There's no doubt about that. When you hire CM Punk, this is, you know what you're getting into. And this is the CM Punk that I've been waiting for. Okay, I've been waiting for the shit stir CM Punk. When he called out Hangman Page and then he said that's coward shit, I thought it was something that I missed on, like, I thought there was something that I forgot about a couple months ago. It wasn't until today when I started reading about, or when Zach posted on Friends of BFR, that I realized that he had that wasn't planned. It's funny that you heard that because Punk was pissed off about an interview that Page did, because I heard, and I think that Dave Meltzer alluded to this, that in their last promo segment with Tony Schiavone before Double or Nothing, the last promo segment before their match was when Hangman had that really strange promo where Punk, we even talked about it here. We were like, what the fuck is he talking about? And Punk kind of looked at him and he goes, I don't know what you're saying, man. You're talking in circles. I went back and rewatched it. Hangman says, being champ is just not about what you do in the ring. It's what also happens when the red light goes off. It's what happens when you walk behind the curtain. It's like something about the way that he goes, you talk a lot about workers' rights. I know in some circles that this is referred to as the workers' rights promo. And there was something else that apparently was part of another promo where he alluded to the Colt Cabana drama.
Right. Yeah.
Where Punk didn't appreciate that. And like I always say here, we're not journalists, we're podcasters. So I'm just regurgitating shit that I read on Twitter today, but maybe you worked. Maybe you didn't have a podcast to prepare for and you weren't looking at Twitter all day. But this is what I saw, is that after that promo, they had a TK called them in, and they went in, those three, and very politely, from what I hear, and that's not sarcasm, Punk said, listen, I respect you, and I think that you're a great wrestler. He goes, I'll never job to you. I will never lose to you, is what Punk told Hangman Page. So, now maybe after a few months, maybe it kind of started sticking
When did he say this? Was that Double or Nothing time? Or last night?
After the Dynamite, before Double or Nothing.
Okay.
And Punk said, I'll never job to you. Now, again, I don't know if this is true. I'm just regurgitating rumors that it's probably fifth-hand knowledge, but, man, it's fun to talk about. Because I went back and rewatched the promo also, or at least the beginning of the promo that Punk gave last night, right before Jason came over. And I know nobody's saying it's a work, but god damn, that was he was pissed off. Because he didn't say it into the camera, he looked up the ramp and said it up the ramp. He was pissed off. Another part, and like Jason, I'm sorry to jump ahead a little bit. Another thing that just really shows CM Punk was in a mood last night is when John Moxley said, I'm the heart and soul of this organization. He goes, you be the heart and soul, I'll be the dollars and cents.
I was like, that's that WWE shit.
Oh, shit. So, Zach, what do you think about it?
Yeah, circling back to the Hangman stuff.
Keep us on track.
On social media, I saw somebody say that the CM and CM Punk stands for Kevin Durant, which you guys will think is funnier than me.
God,
I had to look it up.
That's really funny. That is really funny.
But I Googled it, and it was a good joke. I listened to Observer Radio this morning before I actually watched Dynamite, because I had to watch Dynamite after I got off work. And Meltzer didn't say anything specific except that it was unplanned, and Alvarez was the one that used the term, went into business for himself. Later on in Observer Radio, which is like noon Pacific out here, it's like a live radio show Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, way to plug them.
No, I mean, like, you just gotta subscribe. It's whatever. So just given the timing, because I was able to like listen to it before watching, and Alvarez was saying that, yeah, again, it was unplanned, and that there was people in the back that were pissed because Hangman's a well-liked dude, and then there was people that were like kind of on Punk's side because Hangman, quote unquote, started it, which is like some real like high school shit. But that's like, I love it because like Phil Brooks is a fucking asshole. He just is. Like, the dude has like a huge ego. I'm not discounting that he's a massive star and that he's very talented, but like, if you walk around all day and you just constantly run into assholes, like, you're the asshole, dude. Like, it's not everybody else. Like, CM Punk, I'm sure, walks around all day and just points out assholes. He's like the number one asshole pointer outer, because he's the biggest asshole. I've never met the guy. This is just a vibe that I get from him.
Now we talked about a little peek behind the curtain. We know that only one of Zach's channels is working, so if you're listening to this on headphones, you're probably only hearing it in one headphone. So Jason and I have decided to turn off the microphones to kill the outside noise, the ambient cicadas that are out here making all the noise, but that also means that Zach doesn't get to hear us laugh, so he's just sitting there like, man, I hope these guys are laughing at my jokes.
No, we ain't no sell you, man. I'm over here giggling my ass off.
We were laughing.
Right.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I will say on that note, dude's super talented, but this is the controversy that surrounds him like everywhere he goes. I mean, the dude completely discounts his time in WWE just because he didn't main event their biggest show, which I know is like a big deal. But I don't know, like, they've given him and this company everything that he could have asked for, and it is it is pretty bonkers. I do think there's an element to this in the sense that everybody likes Colt Cabana. The Young Bucks, Adam Page, like all those guys, they're tight with Colt.
Well, everybody does, because
dude.
his podcast, he's interviewed everybody. Like, and if you've ever listened to his podcast, he's a very affable dude. Like, he's a wrestler's wrestler. Like, everybody's on Colt Cabana's side all the time because he knows everybody.
Yeah, that's got to bug Punk. It just has to. So, whether or not, I see a lot of people saying, like, oh, this is a work, like, whatever. That's the fun of kind of dissecting this stuff. I'm not saying anything one way or another, because you have the whole MJF thing, like, wrapped into this. And also, got to segue into the Punk and Moxley stuff. There are elements of shooting in that, but I think that was two professionals who had agreed to shooting on each other, like on the mic. I don't know if I'm off base. I don't know what you guys think, but Punk's promo was very clever. It was very entertaining, but it was very much kind of not cool in the sense that Wrestling 101 is you never tear down your opponent before you fight your opponent. All he did, like Jason said, was just ether. It was just like straight ether, straight napalm. Like, he was Nas and Moxley was Jay-Z. And that's not good for business.
I was going to say cannabis, but I guess maybe Nas
Either
is the
or.
CM Punk in this situation.
Either or.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because everything on Twitter, and then we can move on to the Moxley stuff, but everything on Twitter is about how CM Punk is the asshole. Oh, are you surprised that CM Punk's an asshole? And everybody's on Hangman Page's side. But being in the era that we're in of wrestling, a veteran going back and getting a receipt on a young guy for disrespect is not a new thing in wrestling. That is as old as the art form itself. Nobody was on Miz's side when JBL and Undertaker kicked him out of the locker room for 2 years because he got chicken on somebody's luggage, or whatever the fuck the story is. That was the same thing. It was now Hangman Page is a little bit more of a talent than the Miz is, but the principle is still the same. Like, old guys ask for respect for the courtesy of putting young guys over. That is kind of the way of the business. I've never wrestled before. I'm talking completely out of my ass. I've watched a lot of shoot documentaries. I've seen a lot of shoot interviews. I've read a lot of shoot books. That seems to be the way of it. So that's what I know about it. This is a veteran. I mean, Punk is older than me. Not quite as old as Jason, but older than me.
Fuck you.
And he...
Fuck you, too, for laughing.
And Hangman Page is like around 29. So, I mean, CM Punk is 15 years older than Hangman Page. And he probably asks for a certain modicum of respect when he comes into the locker room. Now, whether or not he earns it, excuse me, I couldn't say. But that is the way of the business. That is the way the business works. Am I wrong, Jason?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't like the way he went about it. Okay.
Oh, I loved it.
Don't get me wrong. It's drama, and obviously we're talking about it because we're excited to talk about it. For me, personally, if you know somebody can't come out and confront you, that's some bullshit. That's you talking out your ass.
You mean like if you're doing an interview with a magazine?
A little different in the sense that this is an interview where if you and I were interviewing whatever, and you and I were talking back and forth, you can say things in this interview and then come back and be like, it's taken out of context, whatever the case may be, yada, yada, yada. This was totally different, at least in my opinion, because Punk knew that he being Hangman Page could not come out. So this was the one opportunity to say whatever the fuck he wanted to say, and you just got to sit there in the back.
You go back and watch that Workers' Right promo. I'm
I remember it.
It's not a challenge, but like I just went back and watched it, and I didn't watch it through the eyes of kayfabe. I watched it through the eyes is Hangman Page actually saying this stuff to CM Punk, and it is like Punk's feelings almost look hurt when he says it.
No, I think he said it, and either he felt it or he got it
Punk
secondhand,
Punk
and he
was
just
really
regurgitated
respectful
it.
in that promo. Also talked about how great of a worker he was, how much he respected them and everything. And Hangman Page, it kind of seemed like a low blow. It kind of seemed like he was like,
Okay, so then how you gonna ask for respect and you're not giving it in the same fashion? If it's a
Sure.
low blow,
Sure.
Okay. You're going to take that. You're going to put that receipt in your pocket. I ain't mad about giving the receipt out. I'm a huge fan of that shit. I'll carry grudge like luggage. No problem whatsoever. I'm just saying, when you see him again, do it face to face, and then boom, here's the receipt. Don't give it to the fans, because that's not a receipt.
Would you be mad if The Miz got some chicken on that luggage?
Dude.
You might go off and like
I'll
kill
say
your
what,
family
well,
and
fuck,
yourself.
I better have some of that chicken. Otherwise, that's what I'm mad about.
All right, Zach. Move us on to the Moxley
glad so.
portion of the segment. It was an incredible 15-minute segment. We're gonna talk about it for an hour probably.
Before we do, I saw one more thing where a guy said, could be any girl, I don't know, not being sexist here, it's the internet, it's anonymous, but said CM Punk's like the exemplification of a Sean guy who thinks he's a Brett guy, and that got me.
I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that criticism lobbied at him before in those exact same words. At least I think I've seen something like that. You think you're a Sean guy, but you're a Brett guy. Or wait, which one is it?
Yeah, like he thinks he's a Sean guy, or he thinks he's a Brett guy, but he's actually a Sean guy. But even though Brett was also very petty, so it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, yeah. You mean like a kind of like are we the baddies type of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only that's the thing is Brett would job. Brett's not a guy that would say I'm not jobbing to you. Sean was. That was the difference. But
Gotcha.
But yeah. So anyway, we had the Moxley, comes out to answer, and like Bill said, like he interrupted him. I felt like that was something that you can do. It makes it feel more realistic. I'm not saying it was unprofessional. It definitely threw Moxley off a little bit. I don't think he was expecting it. It was also a good line, very heelish. But this match is money. Because of kind of their histories throughout their careers. Also because they're the two biggest stars in the company. I think Moxley has more star power than Jericho right now, and it's a built-in feud. That said, like I was saying last week, I think it's the most boring thing in the world for Punk to just come back and beat Moxley for the interim title and just like pretend like nothing ever happened. So they did throw a wrench in these plans. We all expected this to happen at All Out. I said last week, I was like, I can't wait to pay $50 for this match, and I'm sure the rest of the card is going to be great. But we're getting it next week, and that said, it's time to speculate. So what do we think is happening next week?
I'll say first, I do like the fact that Moxley was thinking in my head, and he alluded to the broken foot. God bless you, John Moxley. If you're going to be petty about that shit. Your dumbass jumping into the fucking stands and you break your fucking foot, you idiot. You're the world champion. You ain't supposed to be jumping in the stands. You high five, motherfucker.
He's heating up.
Anyway, speculation of what's moving forward. Obviously, MJF is the biggest speculation. I just saw that today, and I didn't even really trip off of it because honestly, this has to be two matches. First match on Dynamite and a second match at All Out. Now, how you get from point A to point B, I don't know. I'll just say this. If MJF comes back and interrupts this main event, takes them both out or whatever, there's your triple threat. I don't think that's going to happen. Somehow we get a screwy finish, a double count out, a disqualification of some sort, something along those lines to extend it to where you have to go into All Out. I would go with a double count out, something like that, to where you have to do it again. I get it. I'm happy for the fact that we even get to see this on just regular TV. Okay? I'm not going to be that dude. But I would be stunned if this isn't a two-part match series. Part 1, Dynamite. Part 2, All Out.
Couldn't agree more. This has to be some kind of angle or something else going into the Double or Nothing. Or, sorry, All Out. Either that or Tony Khan saw what Punk did last night and, you know, he was so fucking coked out that he was like, wait, I got this great idea. And then he came up with something else for All Out. But
I got it, everybody. No. Just listen to me. Just listen to me.
Just chewing his face off.
Right? No. We'll do the match next week. What?
So I'm not going to be one of those. You see lots of hand wringing by these dorks on the internet wrestling community who are like, well, he's just throwing away pay-per-view buys, and I hope he's just not trying to hotshot it because he needs ratings because WWE's getting good or whatever. It's like, what the fuck do you care, man?
Dude, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, but people do that.
I know. I just saw it today. It blows my motherfucking mind.
Like, what do you care? You're the fan.
We all win, you idiot.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to get this shit on free fucking TV.
Hotshot it.
Please. Do this shit right now. Oh, Kenny Omega comes back and their ratings go down. I'm like, dude, are you out your goddamn mind? What the fuck is wrong with you people? You get Kenny, by God, Omega back on free fucking TV at 75% and you motherfuckers are still bitching. That's why y'all booing Liv Morgan, ain't it? Y'all fickle like a motherfucker. Y'all motherfuckers was waiting around there. Oh, please let Liv Morgan be the champ. Please let Liv Morgan be the champ. She's champ 3 weeks. You booing her ass. Fuck you. That's why I hate wrestling sometimes. Because you motherfuckers make it so goddamn serious. It's supposed to be fun. Okay? We get Kenny Omega back. We're getting Danielson and Garcia in a 2 out of 3 falls match that could actually go into All Out for some more shit. And then the cherry, we're getting fucking Punk and Moxley for the title next Wednesday. And you're still bitching. Please, get the fuck out of here.
This devalues the title, the prestigious AEW title, so much. It is now worth less than the American dollar. That's what they sound like.
That is what they sound like. That being said, they are leaving a lot of pay-per-view buys on the table because I'm telling you, motherfucker, listen, I don't care. I'm ready to watch it. Listen, I was going to watch it either way. But I'm going to buy the pay-per-view either way. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that there's some real heat. And we didn't even got into the main event portion of the show, which
I think
also
had some heat here.
Had some really weird stuff. But we should probably move it along. What was next, Zach?
I don't know necessarily what was next. Let's just go on with kind of the highlights of the show.
It was Garcia Danielson.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was going to do anyway. So, yeah, we had the 2 out of 3 falls match. Excellent match. I think Bill said this on Twitter or Facebook or something, but excellent match. But Jericho really needs to shut the fuck up. And dude, he's overstayed his welcome on commentary. He was good during the pandemic when we needed something fresh because there was like no fans and stuff. But he's just there screaming all the time. He's worse than fucking JR talking about, you know, thigh slapping and shit. Like I couldn't tell who was worse here. So either way,
Jericho's so over the top. And it's terrible. It's awful. Like that match deserved a lot more. That match deserved a sober, it needed what it needed was Excalibur and Taz to call it by themselves, really.
And Kevin Kelly, come on the podcast.
Well, Kevin Kelly, come on the podcast.
Yeah.
If Kevin Kelly doesn't respond to 19 retweets saying Kevin Kelly go on BFR, he's made a mortal enemy.
Oh shit!
Hang on. Hey, he speaks for himself, Kevin Kelly. Okay, you my boy. Okay, I would love to have you on the pod, but if you don't, I'm gonna still watch New Japan Rise.
Still a great guy. First of all, Daniel Garcia put the American Dragon to sleep with a dragon sleeper, which is really funny. Maybe ironic, but. Then he tries the same thing again, gets rolled up in like kind of a quick pin situation. So it was almost kind of like Danielson like stole that one from him. Garcia just looked really strong in this whole thing. And what was the third fall?
He put him out
Referee
with the labella
stoppage.
lock. On the labella lock.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say,
Labella
I thought he
lock,
submitted, but then the referee called the bell was on the labella lock. So I said referee stoppage on Twitter, but whatever.
But this is really physical. I mean, DDT on the floor, Danielson, busted open. Just really fantastic technical wrestling. Exactly what you would expect. Just a absolute banger of a match. And I think we knew that was going to be the case. We had already seen these guys fight before, and it was good. But kind of the stories coming out of it, you have afterwards Danielson going to shake Garcia's hand and Jericho attacking him from behind, setting up Jericho Danielson for All Out, but also setting up for a potential Garcia face turn because initially whenever Danielson came to AEW, like in his first promos and stuff, he talked about Daniel Garcia as a guy that he wanted to fight and mentor. So lots of possibilities here, but altogether a fantastic segment.
It was a tremendous match. I've watched a lot of G1 over the last month. That match was as good as any match that we saw in the G1, save for maybe one or two. Bryan Danielson, if you're going to give him 25, 30 minutes to have a match with a young guy that's as talented as Daniel Garcia, he is going to come up with a way to make it really compelling throughout the entire thing. When he was sitting there in the Buddha pose and just taking those chops, taking those kicks from Daniel Garcia, I love the psychology of it. I like that Garcia, after he passed out in the labella lock, he still kept trying to go after Bryan Danielson like he didn't know the match was over because he was so out of it, and Danielson kind of stood him up and had the crowd cheer for him. It was a tremendous segment, and I thought it was really cool how Jericho attacked him, and then Daniel Garcia kind of got in his face and was like, no. If Daniel Garcia leaves the Jericho Appreciation Society, then it's basically Jericho and the three fucking Stooges. It's Jericho and 3MB, basically,
and
after
Sammy.
that.
Sammy and
and Sammy. I forgot about Sammy, yeah. So, but I do want to say that the music
and
that
Hager.
plays...
Your boy.
He's one of the three... yeah, but I mean, he's barely ever there. Listen, I just hate those fucking 2.0 guys. I hate them. I hate the sound that plays before the music where he goes... The lead. He's like the world's best. It's sports entertainers. I hate it.
I love it. I think it makes me giggle every fucking time. His voice is so obnoxiously funny. It makes me giggle. The Jericho Appreciation Society.
I do want to say that I do kind of wish. Does this kind of make you wish that Danny Garcia was the other member of the Black Bull Combat Club instead of Wheeler Yuta?
No. Daniel Garcia is I'll just talk about the match first. The match was great. It's everything I thought it would be, and then some, which is almost incredible to say, but it was more than I thought it was. Like you said, the psychology of it was amazing, especially at the end where Garcia was reaching for his legs and Daniel Bryan's looking at him, or Bryan Danielson's looking at him like, what the fuck are you, dude? It's over. Come on, man. It's over.
Really
that
good.
was so good. After the first fall, where, Garcia jumps Danielson immediately after, so now we're playing into the head injury angle of it. That was so good. So, I mean, it was all played out in 30 minutes, and they told an amazing fucking story. My point. Daniel Garcia, if he wasn't a made man beforehand, he's pretty close to being made right now. You went 30 minutes with arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he made him look really strong.
He's a made man.
Okay.
No, he is a made man.
So now, that being said, you see Jericho come out, blah, blah, blah. My guess is, because next week we're going to have a little tete-a-tete like we always do with Jericho and somebody that goes left on his, little faction or whatever. They're going to have some sort of, meeting in the ring or whatever. Obviously, Bryan Danielson is going to come out at some point. If I had to guess, Garcia turns on Danielson as in some form or fashion to set up another match going all out. I wouldn't disagree with Jericho and Bryan Danielson. I just don't think that Garcia leaves the Jericho Appreciation
Let me
Society.
ask you this, and it's a question for the both of you. So there's what they call the Four Pillars of AEW, which are the four young guys that basically started with AEW, never had a job with WWE. So we're looking at Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, MJF, and Darby Allin. Which one of those four guys, if you put Daniel Garcia in with those four guys, so now you have five guys, which one of those guys would you take right now to start a company over Daniel Garcia?
Go ahead, Two Beer.
Out of those guys, MJF, just because he's pretty dynamic.
Is that it though?
And he's like a prodigy. Oh, you mean like there's only one?
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to rank them, but who do you think is better out of those four guys? Because I would take Daniel Garcia over everybody except for MJF in terms of talent. And in ring talent, it's a little closer, but Daniel Garcia to me has proven himself on the microphone over the last few weeks in this feud with Bryan Danielson. He's proven to me that he's actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I agree. I might take Jungle Boy though, because man, ladies love Jungle Boy, and he just got it as far as like he's always gonna be over. I don't think I would argue with anybody if you said it, but
the only thing with Jungle Boy, and this is just my perspective on it, we haven't seen him in that one real good wrestling match. We've seen him do good things. MJF, obviously, is the one that really sticks out. But to have him go over Daniel Garcia, from what I saw last night, I need him, and I'm assuming Christian is going to be the all-out match. I need them to tear the house down before I can put him over Daniel Garcia.
And Christian Cage is completely capable of,
without question,
bringing the house down.
Without question. So there's a possibility there, but it's only one for me. It's MJF.
Right on. Okay, what's next, Zach?
We can just move on. I'm sure there's some stuff in the middle if you guys want to talk about it, but we said for the sake of brevity, jump right to the main event. So we had the trios match with the return of Kenny Omega. So Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus LFI. So Roosh, Dragon Lee, who are brothers, and Andrade. So
they are brothers.
No, I'm giggling for a totally different reason. They are brothers. All right, they are brothers,
but they're not like brothers.
Yeah, they're not brothers.
They ain't brothers with the A.
Yeah.
Swerving our glory.
They brothers.
Yeah. Oh shit. So really fun return. I think Bill said this as well, which I thought I was just as happy to see Don Callis as I was to see Kenny Omega. I think both have been sorely missing.
Oh my God!
So good on
he came out. I was like,
man.
"Oh yes!"
I forgot about him. I was like waiting for Kenny Omega, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, Don Callis."
I was
and
like,
then he jumps right on commentary.
I'm like, thank you, God. There is a God here, and it was so amazing. It was so good fun to listen to Don Callis. When I got into New Japan, him and Kevin Kelly were the commentary team, and he was good over there. The fact that he's now in AEW and he's more so of the heel commentator than he was in New Japan, just plays into the whole Kenny Omega thing of what if, what's going to happen next, is he going to be around, so on and so forth. Go ahead.
So this was a really dynamic match, as you would expect. Definitely the big story coming out of it is the story that they're trying to tell is that Kenny Omega is back. He has ring rust. And is he back too early? Did he rush back? Because the dude had numerous injuries. He had knee surgery, he had hernia surgery, and shoulder surgery, just his whole body was racked with injuries. And he is such a fantastic wrestler. He is just such a fantastic storyteller in the ring. He's got all the same Twitter nerds that talking about the devaluing the AEW title and arguing about ratings and defending people that they don't even know and actually letting it ruin their day between the CM Punk and Hangman situation. He's got them all worked, and he's wearing a compression shirt with like a shoulder brace, which that may be advantageous for like his health. But the dude was definitely overselling the injury aspects. Like, this is part of a storyline for sure. But I think it's a great storyline because, he's the best bout machine. Like, he has to have something to complicate the situation. They have to have some kind of adversity to overcome, because otherwise you have the greatest tag team in history and arguably the greatest big match wrestler in history coming together as a threesome. How are they not going to just automatically just railroad the entire division and take these titles? So there's got to be some kind of drama, some kind of like conflict. And Kenny having ring rust and coming back, exemplified by him doing the do not escape and not being able to get all the way over. And he goes for the tope con hero, but knee gives out, all this kind of stuff. Just really, really good. There was some, time constraints. They went home a little early. They had like kind of a rush segment of Roosh and Andrade ripping Dragon Lee's mask off and DDTing him and turning on him.
No, that Joker fell off. I'm not giving him that much respect. That Joker fell off.
No. I mean, Andrade.
They undid it.
Yeah, he undid it. Andrade undoes it on television. He undid it. That didn't fall off. That was on purpose. Now, hold on a second. Before we get too far into it, Jason, how are you going to make that face every time that Zach says that they're the best tag team in history? He says it all the time.
And do I not make the face all the time?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
but
I'm
I don't know how you're done being surprised.
No, I'm not done being surprised. I'm just respectfully disagreeing.
I'm going to respect.
I didn't know that the Road Warriors and Okada came out on Dynamite. I must have missed that last night.
I'm going to say this. I've said this before. Zach's probably right, but go ahead, Jay. I've said it before. I think I agree with him, and I'm not even a Young Bucks mark.
It ain't the only time I've been on this island before.
No, that happened on the Rampage taping. Okada had them all propped up like Weekend at Bernie's. They Hawk on one side, Animal on the other.
Hey, you know what? Fuck you,
Jason. What you think of this segment?
It was a lot going on, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was great to see Kenny Omega back. Obviously, great to see Don Callis back. Callis on commentary was amazing. The match itself, I thought, was a little wonky at points. There was times where, there was spots missed. And I'm not even talking about Kenny Omega. I'm talking on the LFI portion of the program where they couldn't figure out who was going in.
Dragon Lee's tope suicida almost killed a kid in the front row.
Dude!
Like, I was watching it. I was watching it live. I was texting Bo because I turned it on right when Omega came back, and I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" And then I watched, and Aaron was sitting next to me doing Facebook stuff about our daughter's birthday, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" I was like, "Oh my god, he almost killed a kid!"
He came in hot,
real hot.
Okay.
Almost jumped over him.
Yeah, I mean, it was so just spot of the night. I mean, it was a spot fest match. Don't get me wrong. Good to see Kenny Omega back. I guess the walk away from this for me is, I agree with Zach. A part of me was like, okay, he's not at 100%, but what is he? The shoulder harness is the one thing that I looked at right away. The shirt was obvious. I mean, okay, whatever.
It looked like he was wearing some sort of back brace underneath his shirt, though, also.
Okay, and that was probably the reason why he wore the shirt. The shoulder harness was the one thing that I was just kind of like, okay, this might be something that when they drop the trios titles, 'cause I'm assuming that the Bucks and Kenny Omega will be trios champions at some point. Maybe not the inaugural, but at some point. When Kenny Omega goes solo, is this all going to shed off to where he becomes back the best bout machine and, he's doing things that, we expect of him doing? Don't get me wrong. I wanted him to do a tope suicida, and he didn't do it, and I'm okay with that. I don't need it all in one fell swoop. The fact that he was back, to me, was the good start. The right team won. Brothers turning on, LFI turning on Dragon Lee was the only thing I was just like, okay, what the fuck is this? I mean, damn. It wasn't like it was a shitty match. He lost, but it wasn't like, it was the reason why he lost. That's the only thing I don't like, is that even then, TK has to put in another angle. Dude, just let Kenny Omega come back and let that shit breathe.
So, Jason, I That was my first thought, too. I was like, okay, so they just couldn't have Kenny Omega come back. They have to Roosh through this angle and have Roosh and Andrade turn on Dragon Lee. So, first of all, before that, I don't know what the fuck happened because Omega hits Dragon Lee with the V-trigger, right? Dragon Lee looks legit knocked out. He picks him up for the One-Wing Angel, and the announcers were trying to sell it like Kenny Omega wasn't strong enough to do it, but Dragon Lee was either A, sandbagging him, which doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem like that would be the case. Or B, legitimately concussed and super fucked up. Like that time that Charlotte almost killed Kairi Sane in that tag team match.
Right.
And then he does the One-Wing Angel. And then it closes in on Kenny Omega, and him and Dragon Lee
are having a conversation.
They're talking afterwards. Sure. And I don't know. I went back and watched it again.
They were like, are you okay? My bad, dog. I think shaking hands or whatever.
It looked to me like Dragon Lee was actually fucking out.
No, I think he was that way, without question.
And he did the One-Wing Angel on a dead guy, basically. So then, I know, it's fucking insane. I mean, it was fucking insane.
You good?
Listen,
cool.
If Tony Khan did all this Hangman Page stuff and all this shit stuff just to make it a hotter product, fucking he's the most genius wrestling mind that we've ever had. Because first of all, it looked like he was dead weight. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch it. It looks bad. It is not a One-Wing Angel that's on a dude that is conscious, or he was told to be dead weight, which doesn't make very much sense either.
No, you want Kenny Omega to pull off the One-Wing
Afterwards, they're celebrating the Kenny Omega thing. And then you see Andrade and Roosh, and they're undoing Dragon Lee's mask, getting ready to pull it off.
Okay, the only thing I saw was them raising his hand, and I was like, "What? What the fuck is that?"
I'll show it to you. afterwards.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I missed it.
They undid his mask, and then Andrade does the hammerlock DDT on him, and you can see that the Bucks and Omega are up the ramp celebrating, and they're going off the air. And the announcers don't know what to do. The camera guy doesn't know what to do. The directors don't know what to do. And then Kenny Omega and the Bucks start
running in.
They start walking back towards the ring. Now, there's a couple ways you can go with this. You can either think, A, this is Tony Khan trying to shove too much shit into too short of a time, not letting shit breathe. Or, B, this was supposed to happen off air, and they were going to use it as some sort of, like Dragon Lee.
You missed it.
Yeah, it's going to be a YouTube thing, or Dragon Lee's going to go to Ring of Honor, and Roosh and Andrade are going to be a tag team or whatever. Or 3, those guys went into business for themselves, and they said, you know what? We're in a very hot angle at the end of a really big show, and we're going to do our own thing at the end.
Jesus Christ. Go ahead, Tubier. What do you think?
That never even occurred to me. There's always so much shit that happens at the end of Dynamite. I just assumed they were just trying to pack too much shit in.
This was the strangest. Out of all the schmozzes at the end of Dynamite, though, this was the weirdest.
Yeah,
because I was
see it coming.
And Michael Wallace Seals was on Twitter the same as I was, and we were both saying, "Wait, what the fuck was that?" And he was like, "Wait a minute, leave it on for another 5 minutes." And I'm thinking, yeah, but maybe they turned it off because Tony Khan didn't know what the fuck was happening there. That's how strange it was. Because what would be the point of them doing that? And why wouldn't Omega and the Bucks know that was going to happen in ring? And why would they start walking back? Bizarre. It was bizarre.
Okay.
It was a batshit episode.
No,
a completely batshit episode.
Look, I'm not going to...
But WWE's the hottest product.
Give me a fucking break. I was going to say it. Did you see the G1 over the week? It was weird because, like you said, the Buck and Kenny reaction was the weird part. Because if you're they're babyface-ish tweener, I would say they're tweeners at this point. I don't know really what they are until, the team across them, and then they figured out at some point. They walked back. I mean, that's what I'm tripping off of. If you're going to get back in and save Dragon Lee, you're not going to walk back. You're going to run back.
Right.
Okay? this just seems like, and this is just a pattern behavior.
No, they walked back like you're at a bar and you're walking to your car, and the guy that's supposed to be coming with you starts mouthing off with some dude on the patio, and you're like, fuck, now I gotta walk back. Hold on, let me grab him.
Jay, come on, motherfucker. Steelers lost. Let's go.
Tyler, get back here.
Okay, I would totally agree with you on that. I just think that this was a planned spot, and then for whatever reason, there was not enough time. They went through the spot anyway. Look, there was already one motherfucker going rogue. I don't think there's a second person going rogue.
I'm telling you, I think this one might have gotten buried because Punk is obviously the bigger story, but I would love to be a fly on the wall in TK's office, not just because I could get all the coke shrapnel that's bouncing off those walls, but because I'd like to hear what's being said down there. Anything else that we need to talk about in AEW Dynamite? Do we want to talk about the Acclaimed stealing Billy Gunn, Billy Gunn's doofus kids turning on him, and then Anthony Bowen saying "Scissor me, Daddy"?
Yeah, it's daddy ass now.
Yeah, I don't.
Now I know that Anthony Bowens is openly gay, and I completely support that. And I know that Billy Gunn does too, because Billy Gunn was part of one of the craziest angles that ever happened over 6 months in WWE when he and Chuck Palumbo were gay dudes with the manager Rico.
Did they get married?
No, they had a wedding on SmackDown, and when they were supposed to get married, Billy and Chuck looked really confused at the pastor, and they were like, "Wait, we're just friends." And then they got their asses beat. That being said, I mean, as much as I love the LGBTQ community, as much as I love gay dudes, I hate the Acclaimed. So, and I hate the Guns too. So put them on dark so I don't have to watch it.
No, you know this is going to be a fucking all-out match. At this point, I don't even get why Billy was like, you're not like the Acclaimed. You're not like the Acclaimed. I mean, I don't have kids, but I mean, damn, wouldn't you like to prop up your kids versus, riding the dicks of the Acclaim? I don't get that at all.
No, the kids turned on him.
They won matches, and Dad was still mad. They squashed Varsity Blondes like it wasn't shit, and you're still mad.
You're right. I don't want to talk about this. All right, let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, what's the 2 count?
Dude, it's weird for me to have the 2 count. I'm not even. I'm like, oh, wait, hang on. Wrong block. Ah, yes. Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker. Okay, I got your age ain't nothing but a number, motherfucker. I'll take you out front and run your ass down to 40 like it ain't shit. High step on your old ass. Talk about me anyway. Let me get back on track. 2 count is going to be the finals of the G1 semifinals, the last night of block semifinals and the finals of the G1. If you did not watch this, shame on you, number one. It was an amazing 3-4 nights of great wrestling. I'm just going to talk about the final night block, night 18, and then we're going to go into the semifinals and then the finals. So night 18, they did matches where it was matches of consequence. 2 matches in each block. You had in the D block, Will Ospreay beating Juice Robinson, which he had to do to keep with pace with David Finlay. So David Finlay was eliminated, so he had to keep pace with Shingo. Shingo obviously beat Will Ospreay in a couple of nights beforehand. So Will Ospreay had to beat Juice Robinson, which was a really good match, surrounded by the U.S. title. Will Ospreay goes over. Then in kind of a surprise, I won't say upset because God knows we can't agree what the fuck an upset is around here. ELP defeats Shingo in a really good match. I was saying to myself that ELP could probably give Shingo some trouble. Obviously, he did. ELP goes over clean, by the way. So that gives Will Ospreay the D block. Now we're going to the C block where you had Goto versus Evil. I said it on Twitter. I don't know if I could ever root for Evil, even if it meant Naito winning the block, and I couldn't root for him. But then all of a sudden I felt conflicted because I was like, oh shit, Evil might win this motherfucker. Of course, he wins with some major fuckery, low blow by Dick Togo to set up the finish. Everything is Evil. So Evil wins over Goto, opening the door for one Tenzin and Naito to face Zack Sabre Jr. I expected a lot more time to this, but the great part about New Japan, it's a complete circle of a story. The first night of block action, Naito lost to Tanahashi in a roll-up. He beats Zack Sabre Jr. in a roll-up in amazingly quick time, just under 3 minutes. So you had now Naito and Will Ospreay taking the D and the C blocks, respectively. Two-Beer, I'm assuming you didn't see this, correct?
No, I saw it the whole night.
Okay. I'll let you start with the C and D blocks. Thoughts on either or?
I was super surprised about the Naito fast roll-up, especially because I was really looking forward to that match. But made total story sense, and it was super fun to see Zack Sabre throw his Zack Sabre tantrums.
Holy shit. I mean,
yeah.
This motherfucker was coming backstage wearing chairs around. I had to watch the backstage comments on this one.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be absolute gold. And he came back and showed his arse. It was amazing to watch.
I've been so busy, I didn't mean to no-sell that picture that Bill sent to our group text. Zach was draped in chairs in the back.
I hadn't watched it yet, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking in the background or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is the backstage comment. I'm like, yeah, we're definitely going to watch this. This is why I love Zack Sabre Jr. and I don't think he gets enough credit, because usually you got to do both things well to be a great wrestler. You got to talk, and obviously you got to perform in the ring. ZSJ, the way New Japan does their business, a lot of their promos are backstage, so you kind of have to seek it out. I mean, ZSJ is one of the best talkers in all of New Japan, and I thought this was one of his, I would say, best quote-unquote performances, turning over tables, I mean, just wrecking havoc. When Naito had the ice pack and was throwing it at Zack Sabre Jr. like a baseball, I lost my goddamn mind. I was like, this is the craziest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life.
Pretty funny.
Dude, it was totally funny.
Other than that, I think Phantasmo and Shingo was the best match of the whole night on this night. And kind of surprised, I would call that an upset. And at the same time, he comes out of it, goes over to Desperado, who's on commentary, and basically says, goodbye forever, I'm a heavyweight now. So he's kind of going the Will Ospreay route.
No, I like that shit. It was the way they, especially with Desperado, if it was Ishimori or, Hiromu, any of the great junior heavyweights, it's time for ELP to move forward, and beating Shingo, to me, was a nice way to kind of ring that new era in, because Shingo wasn't a junior heavyweight. I don't care what anybody says. So the fact that he could beat Shingo clean, I think this says a lot.
Did you guys already go over the two nights before there, or are we just talking about the
No, we're just going to talk about...
That's fine. That's fine. I loved ELP versus Shingo also. I thought that Archer Okada was really fucking good.
Yep.
I thought that they, I don't know if it might have been me that said it walking into the G1 that Archer looked a little slower than he had in past G1s, but I thought that Okada made him look like $1 million, which that's Okada's thing, really. And we'll get to the finals match, which was really just a lesson. It was really a lesson in selling. Like, if you want to sell, if you want to learn how to sell, watch Okada in that match. But I thought that Archer looked great, and him headlining Budokan on the final night of regular G1 against the best wrestler in the world, and having the match that I thought he did, I was happy for Archer. I really came to like Archer even more than I thought I did during this tournament. Especially for his nights on commentary. He's just really kind of a mark and just a real mensch. He's just a really cool motherfucker, and I'm a big fan. But
no, speaking of Lance Archer, we can move to the A and B block. Obviously, Lance Archer falls to Okada, giving Okada the A block no matter what Jonah did. Jonah needed to have Archer win that match. Jonah beats Bad Luck Fale. No big deal. It is what it is.
Pretty okay.
B block, you had Sonata versus Ishii in the first match. Ishii, and I said it last week, possibly not having any more G1 matches is terribly disappointing. Just to even think about, Sonata falls to Ishii, which probably should have happened anyway, but the fact that there's these rumors swirling around, I think is definitely a good way to go. And then the probably the story of the tournament. It finally comes down to Tama Tonga versus Jay White. Winner gets the B block. Tama Tonga pulls what I would consider the upset over Switchblade Jay White. Obviously, Switchblade was coming into this match undefeated. Once again, the backstage comment of Jay White just melting down is something to go see. I thought Tama Tonga was going to be in this spot when they attacked the Bucks and Kenny Omega, when it was the Tongans and they had the Bullet Club, firing squad or whatever, and it never came to be. Now I'm starting to see what I wanted to see probably like 2 or 3 years ago, right before the Bucks and Kenny Omega came over and created AEW. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, they had Haku there. They all were basically destroying Bullet Club, and I was thinking this might be a chance for Tama Tonga to make this run. He's making a run. It's slow but sure steps. He's probably like 2 or 3 years away from even winning the IWGP Championship if he ever does. But this was another good step. He beats Okada last year to give Okada his first loss. He beats Jay White this year to give Jay White his first loss.
Now, Jason, I don't know how you could consider this an upset. You have one of the most decorated tag team wrestlers. No, I'm joking. It was a total upset. I
didn't even flinch, man. I was just like, nah. I know you bullshitting on this one.
I also love that.
I was going to try to make it through the whole podcast without that word being said.
No, I said it before when you went in the door.
It's my safe word in the bedroom now. But my wife says a lot during sex anyway. She says upset. But anyway,
say, damn, girl, we just got started.
The after promo of Jay White, where he just is on his knees screaming "fuck" over and over. I mean, that was one of the promos of the year, and it was just one word over and over, screamed on his knees. So good.
I have a real problem myself. I mean, it's a problem with myself, and the problem is I have a hard time remembering the time difference between Japan and America. So and it ruined the finals for me this morning, which I texted the boys about. And before, well, you know,
I believe they're 14 hours ahead of us.
I knew that Tama Tonga won the block before I watched the match because I thought that I was looking at the times of the previous night's matches on Wikipedia, and then it went straight down to the semifinals, and I saw...
Oh, you looked at on Wikipedia?
I saw Okada versus Tama Tonga on there, and I just completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. So I fucked up, like, the two biggest who's going to win this matches of the tournament. I missed Jay White and Tonga. That being said, I thought the match was just okay, and I think that this was a real big. This is where I take my own faults, but I actually blame them on somebody else. It's like they had 8 G1 matches on that night. That's all. That's the entire card, but none of them really got a whole lot of time. I don't think there was a match over 14 minutes.
I don't think so either.
And I would have liked to have seen Tama Tonga and Jay White go longer than that. That being said, I'm happy that Tama Tonga won because hopefully that sets him up for a title match sometime between here and Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh yeah, it definitely happens. I mean, that's what New Japan does. I mean,
that's what the G1 does. And what was the other match that we were talking about? Oh, Ishii Sonata. Yeah, it was good. I mean, if that's a way for Ishii to end his G1 career, going over a guy that he's probably fought 100 times in Sonata, then God bless him. Ishii he's a gift from God to us marks.
Oh, God, he better be back next year.
I hope he is.
Semifinals, the next night, obviously, we had now A and B block winners, Okada and Tama Tonga. Okada goes over. I thought this was a good showing for Tama Tonga. Nothing great. They did some callbacks to the match where Tama Tonga won last year's G1, where I can't think of the name of the move, but he tried it on Okada. Didn't work. Okada wins fairly convincingly. I wasn't too concerned about Tonga winning this. I thought this is typical New Japan. We're going to make things quote unquote right. And Okada wins this second matchup. So Okada wins. He was on to the finals. So the match that I thought was the better of the two matches, and this is not even because I'm a Naito mark, it's just I thought it was the better of the two matches. You had Will Ospreay winning the D block versus Naito winning the C block. First time ever matchup, which was very intriguing because when you stop and think about it, Will Ospreay's been there kind of long enough to where you would think at some point these two guys would cross paths singles-wise. This was, I thought Will Ospreay Shingo was the match of the tournament leading up to this point. I thought Ospreay and Naito just did something amazing until the final. We'll talk about that in a second. Will Ospreay beats Naito clean, no problem with that whatsoever.
Match of the tournament.
To this point.
Match of the tournament.
To this point.
Match of the tournament. For my money, this was the match of the tournament, Naito Ospreay. In fact, I'd say 3 out of my favorite 4 matches in the tournament were Ospreay.
Oh, yeah, without question.
Subir, what do you think?
The top 3 all had Ospreay. He was the common denominator. I think I still like the Shingo match more. But it was, I mean, it's a close thing. They're both absolutely fantastic.
We shouldn't sleep on Will Ospreay Yoshihashi, which happened on night 17, I believe, night 16. But that match was also really fucking good.
No, there was other matches that I have it as night 16. Will Ospreay over.
I can also name my least favorite match of the tournament. If you guys are ready to hear it, or anytime you guys are ready to hear it.
No, go ahead. You already opened up the can.
Great Okan Taichi. Terrible. Terrible. Absolutely awful.
I expected at least 5-10 more minutes. It ended. I'm like, dude, that's it? I felt like a chick. I was like, that's it, motherfucker? That's all we get?
Like a chick. That was the worst. That was the worst match in the tournament that had Yujiro in it.
I can't argue that too much. I would love to, but I really can't. Those are two guys that I had high expectations for coming in, and getting that match, it felt like it was like, okay, thanks for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
They were dialing it in.
Yes, for sure. And whether or not it's the fact that they were already out or just didn't give a shit, doesn't matter. It was very, very disappointing. So, obviously, now we have the finals that happened this morning. Okada.
I do want to say with the Ospreay.
Yeah, we completely cut Zach off and just started talking about shit. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
It's fine. No, I do want to say one thing that I loved about this was the suspense, because in the previous match, you never really were convinced that like Tonga was going to actually go to like the finals. It was really cool that he got to the quarterfinals or the semifinals, and that was like his big win. But you could definitely see Naito going all the way here. It was a definite possibility, and so that added a ton of drama to the reversals, and I think they worked this match just masterfully.
Okay, I guess this is where I'm going to be that guy for 30 seconds. I had no thought that Naito was going to win this match.
Yeah, but that's because you're a Naito mark though, and like you're a sports fan. And
did they reel me in? Yeah. Was I cheering? Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, as a jaded sports fan, like we are, like you're always rooting for your team, but you're always expecting your team to lose because
this team especially.
Well, every
no.
Yeah.
Steelers, there are certain times I expect us to stomp that ass. When Tim Tebow threw that pass to Demaryius Thomas, I expect us to stomp that ass. Right. It's Tim Tebow. You should be like a third-string quarterback, and all of a sudden you go, no, see.
I won't even go through my point. That's fine.
No, please, go through your point.
The point is, in sports, your team almost always loses. Like, how often is it that your team wins the championship? Like, in my lifetime, I can think of, 4 times, 5 times that
Cardinals?
My team, yeah, the Cardinals have won twice.
Oh, in your lifetime, yeah.
Well, unless you count 82, which I know you were in high school, but I was only 2 years old when it happened. But they won in 6 and 11, and then the Rams won in 99, and
most recently,
what?
They won again last year.
Oh,
Matthew
yeah.
Stafford.
Well, yeah, the Rams won last year again, and then I mean, the Blues, but I don't give a fuck about the Blues. Like,
Okay, so 5.
I made a lot of money that weekend bartending.
That was crazy. Jack
But
Patrick was
you're a
all crazy.
jaded sports fan, though. You always expect your team to win or expect your team to lose, and you want Naito to win so bad that you are guarding it against yourself that you're like, nah, he's going to lose. So if he wins, it's a big time pop for you. But if he loses, it's what you always expected.
Okay. I'll say this, and I said it before. No, I said it before in the pod, and it was a while ago. At some point, Naito's got to start putting guys over. This was the perfect time to put Will Ospreay over and set up an Ospreay-Okada final.
Their first one-on-one match ever.
Right. I have no problem with Naito falling to Will Ospreay because it makes sense. Now we have Ospreay coming after Okada, big brother versus little brother. It is the two arguably best wrestlers on the roster.
Well, I'm with Zach. I thought it could have gone either way, and it made for a very exciting match.
Don't get me wrong. It was the match of the tournament until the final.
Okay.
So, the final, obviously, Will Ospreay versus Okada, D Block versus A Block, doesn't matter. I'm sorry. You can call me what you want to. And Naito has nothing to do with this match. I thought this match was absolutely amazing. It's the match of the tournament as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to go as far as to say it's on my short list of match of the year. The psychology of this is so good because Will Ospreay was like, I'm going to go back and start watching, guys that beat Okada. So then moves that he doesn't ever use, the Styles Clash, the V-Trigger, shit like that where guys
the high-fly flow.
The guys that beat Okada.
He did the high-fly flow, and then and then he did the Styles Clash.
And then did the V-Trigger, and then tried to do the One-Wing Angel. Right there alone. That to me is why I love New Japan because it's always callbacks and you got to pay attention to shit, otherwise you're gonna miss it. But then B, more importantly, this was the drama. Will Ospreay is pulling out shit in his bag that ain't in his bag. I'm taking Tanahashi shit. I'm taking this motherfucking shit. I'm taking this motherfucking shit, and I still can't win. That's the drama.
Zach,
that's what makes this the best match of the tournament.
Zach, what'd you think of the match?
Oh, yeah, it was great. The selling was fantastic. I mean, both guys were selling their necks because they've just been completely devastated in the previous matchups. Okada had this whole monster block where pretty much every match he was just taking a beating. Like, every single match. Like, even the Yano match wasn't just like a comedy match. Like, Yano was like, I'm going to put on my working shoes tonight and wrestle the best wrestler
About
in the
damn
world.
time, motherfucker. Stealing a paycheck
like,
every week.
Work.
Dude's always got his working shoes on.
But yeah, it was great. I really wish I would have had the time before today's podcast. I wanted to go back and watch a Wrestle Kingdom match because that's also happened this year. So we always kind of forget because Wrestle Kingdom happens like right there. January 4th. It's like right after the New Year, so you almost don't even factor it in because the feuds and the build were all from the previous year. But I do kind of want to compare the two matches. But yeah, a total masterclass in professional wrestling. Just two of the three best wrestlers in the world right now, probably just going all out and giving us a fantastic final. I was surprised though that Okada won. I'm not gonna lie, because up until this point, the only thing that I hadn't predicted was Tonga winning that block. Everything else had gone exactly how I thought, and so I figured I was just super fucking smart and Will Ospreay was going to win, but turns out I'm not.
So as I texted the boys this morning at 7 a.m. when my first hour of work, like I said, my first hour of work is slow, and then it picks up, and then my afternoons are slow. So I thought I was going to watch this final, and I went to NJPW World, and it said, I didn't even realize it said live. I just clicked on it, and it was Okada with the trophy, and I was like,
motherfucker.
Like 7:02 in the morning, I'm just fucking
Jay White, fuck,
furious at myself that it happened. But after watching the match, I'll be real enough to admit, those near falls would have got me. I would have thought that I would have thought that Ospreay was winning. I would have. They would have sucked me in. I would have been like, that's definitely okay. The reason why I don't like it as much as I like the Ospreay Naito match, which is the first time they've ever faced each other, that's not why, though, is because I thought the going back to the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future, or whatever the fuck Will Ospreay was doing, while I think it's cool, I also think it's a little too cute. Now, that might be really nitpicky, but it doesn't seem as organic as the Naito Ospreay match, which I absolutely adored. Like, fucking loved it. But I will say, out of all those, not saying I didn't hate the Ospreay Okada match by any stretch of the imagination. It was a 5-star match, no doubt. They're two, like he said, two of the best 3 workers in the world right now. Ospreay's clicking on all cylinders. Ospreay is probably the best in the world right now. Sorry. But I will say this. The best spot in the match was when Okada went for the Rainmaker and he turned it into an Ozcutter. That fucking ruled. That was fucking unreal. Ospreay is unreal.
No, he's a bad human, but in the ring he's a human highlight reel. He's the modern day Kenny Omega if you want to go that route. There's so many counters that he had in the last 2 nights. I'm just like, oh, what the fuck?
He's unbelievable.
Don't get me wrong. At some point, Will Ospreay is going to beat Okada. It's just going to be with more stakes on the line. Okada will be the champ. It might be like one of their big 4, but everything has to be on the line for Will Ospreay to finally beat Okada.
Now, this also means that Okada is going to have to put up that G1 champion, or that G1 challengership, for lack of a better word.
The briefcase, for lack of a better term.
Against Jonah.
Jonah makes the most sense because obviously he has the win over Okada, but he did say Naito's name, which kind of was the biggest disappointment for me. I'm over it. I don't expect Naito to even win that match. I don't even want to see that match. Just skip fast forward to Jonah. Let's get to that point and then go from there.
You don't want to see Okada Naito?
They've done it 3 times this year, Zach. I mean, damn.
Yeah, they keep doing it.
You know, at a certain point.
I mean, anytime like somebody offers to suck my dick, I'm like, it only happened 3 times this year, so like, I'll go again.
All right, motherfucker. Since you put it like that.
That's very disrespectful to the G1 champion. That's very disrespectful to the belt. That actually devalues the belt.
Hey, that belt's going to be a strap-on if I'm my way with it. But
comparing the G1 belt comparing the G1 championship to a blowjob from a wife is devaluing it. I'm promising you. God damn, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God, I'm dead.
Shouldn't have said that. I don't know. Shouldn't have said that.
Just other quick notes. I will get us back on track, and then we can go to the 3 count. Wrestle Kingdom this year is one night, January 4th of 2023, so that's a little interesting.
No, there's one more thing that I want to ask.
Please.
Wrestle Kingdom is one night, but I do want to have an overall grade for the G1 this year. Go ahead and give it an overall grade, Zach.
Overall grade B.
Jason?
And that's relative to other G1s, and it's not relative to wrestling in general. Because it's always like an A+.
I agree with 2 on this one. I want to give it a B+, but ultimately it's a B. There's certain guys, there's certain angles that don't make sense. There's certain guys that were disappointing. It wasn't the best G1. It damn sure wasn't the worst one I've seen. Somewhere in the middle. I'll go with a B.
I'll give it an A++++ because G1 fucking rules. No, I'm kidding. Like B+, A-, just because I didn't like that it wasn't all the blocks, like every block fights one night. Like that just kind of makes it harder to keep track of who's where. So for that reason,
that's fair.
For that reason, I'll give it a A-.
It was a running concern with us coming into it. Ultimately, I think it worked out because there were that last block night of G1 action where you had guys that were, trying to get in, trying to, maneuver, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So at that point, it kind of makes sense. I don't know if I'm ready to move with this 4-block format forward. Two Beer, do you like 4 blocks or 2 blocks? I like 2 blocks better, man. Honestly, because I felt like there was a lot. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Like when you see Tom Lawler versus ZSJ in like the undercard matches and they don't wrestle in the G1, I'm like, ugh, damn. That's the shit that I miss.
I think I do like 2 blocks better, but 4 blocks might be better for the wrestlers. So if it's better for the wrestlers, then, I might acquiesce. But I got to say, I did like the crazy D block, how it almost ended in a 7-way tie. That was kind of fun that you could differentiate. But yeah, I think the 2 block ones have always been better than this one.
Anybody?
But there were 4 blocks historically. And,
they said they did the 4 blocks before, but that was obviously, before we started really watching it on the regular.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you don't want to see come back?
Is there anybody you don't want to see in next year's G1?
Yujiro, Bad Luck Fale, Evil.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's about it. Everybody else was solid. I just would much prefer Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page and,
Daniel Garcia, fuck it. I mean,
yeah, Daniel Garcia would be perfect.
Listen, this 4-block format might be a little bit more attractive to guys that aren't in New Japan currently, that might not mind taking a month off if it's only 6 matches as opposed to 6 matches where you're fighting the whole time as opposed to 10 matches where you're fighting the whole time, not including the tag team and undercard stuff.
No, I will say this. The good part about doing the 4-block format is that there were guys that got time to rest and heal. We were talking about Jonah was one of the guys that had his first block match and then basically had like 10 days off.
Biggest disappointment?
Fuck.
Anybody can go. I'll say mine's Juice.
Shingo.
Oh,
wow. You mean disappointment as far as like performance?
yeah, performance.
Like kayfabe performance or just general performance?
General performance.
Match quality.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest overachiever was Yoshihashi. I'd say
David Finlay.
Biggest
David Finlay. Yeah.
Okay. And I'd say the biggest underachiever was Juice.
Shingo. Former champion.
Shingo had a fucking banger against Will Ospreay.
His match quality was really good. I think Jason's talking about in kayfabe win-loss record.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's get to that.
I got to cut out before you guys go. Thanks for the time, but I'll hit you guys next week.
Peace.
Be careful, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Be well. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so the 3 count is going to be WWE main roster over the last week. Now, there was a lot of good stuff here, and we'll start off with SmackDown. SmackDown continued bringing back people that have been let go during the Vince era, that have been brought back during the Triple H era. Most notably, Hit Row came back, and Hit Row beat up some jobbers. I'm not sure if I would have had them go against jobbers. I probably would have put them right into an angle, but maybe you need to reintroduce them to the audience, especially without Swerve Strickland, because it's not like people that watch SmackDown even remember Swerve Strickland. So what do you think about Hit Row coming back?
It felt weird without Swerve. I mean, ultimately, that was my biggest takeaway. I don't have a problem with that, with the fact that they had jobbers come out. I'm a huge fan of enhancement talent.
Sure.
Of coming out and just making the guys you want to look good. That's what they did. But it felt, I love seeing Hit Row. I'm singing the song with him, but I'm just missing the Lionel Richie of this bitch. Lionel Richie is Swerve Strickland, and he's not there. So it's going to be real interesting to see who's going to take the mic work and how they book them moving forward.
I'm assuming you watch SmackDown.
Yeah.
The main event, which was Gunther versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the belt, for the Intercontinental belt, was
a banger match.
A banger match. I mean, it really was. It wasn't a banger WWE match.
It was a banger match.
Yes, it was great.
It was arguably one of the best matches of the week.
Including the G1.
G1, yeah. I love the fact that they're now trying to at least make the mid-card titles mean something. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have matches like this, okay? Nakamura is an amazing talent. The fact that they watered him down, it's neither here nor there. We got him against Gunther. The fact that we even have them in the ring is kind of weird to begin with. But they had like a 15, almost 20-minute match.
Great chemistry.
And they were really good in the ring.
Tremendous chemistry between those two guys.
To the point where I'm glad there was no fuckery. Gunther wins clean, and we can all walk away. At some point, when Roman Reigns goes away, you're going to need these other guys. And we said it before on the pod multiple times. It can't just be about the part-timers and the 1%ers of WWE. This roster needs to be strengthened from top to bottom. That mid-card is where Gunther and other guys can come up and step in. God forbid if Roman Reigns goes away. I thought this was a great use of Gunther. He wins clean. You know, God bless them all. I had no problem with this match. It was a really good main event, and it was a nice way to close off SmackDown.
Yeah, there's nothing to hate about it. It was a really fun, really good match. I would watch these guys fight again at a pay-per-view. Like, let's see it. Let's watch these guys fight forever.
If you can build up Nakamura to be like a legitimate main event guy post Roman Reigns, we can do this again without question.
So we had a Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler contract signing. Ronda Rousey comes out. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler have a moment where they pass on the ramp, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched it.
You used to be a killer.
Yeah, like you've changed basically. Basically setting up either a Shayna Baszler-Rousey match or setting up a Shayna Baszler and Rousey teaming up.
Right.
One of the two. Either way.
What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I hope we get a match. I think that I've been hesitant to say it over the last couple weeks, but
what?
Well, I just think that everybody was kind of overreacting before all the evidence was in, but it seems like all the evidence is in now, and it's truly Triple H's era now. Like he is,
yeah.
And it also seems like Vince has nothing to do with it. Now, was it this simple that? Well, here's the first thing. Was it this simple that Vince just dropped these guys or just didn't do anything with Shayna Baszler because he didn't like her and just dropped Hit Row because he didn't like him and just got rid of Dexter Lumis and got rid of Karrion Kross because he fucked him up? Was it that simple that he dropped him and now Triple H is in charge and Triple H brings him back? Because that would mean that Vince is seriously out of the picture.
I would like to think that that's always the case, but I think with like the 24/7 title still being around, not defended every week, but it's still around, that's a Vince element. Sports entertainment is always going to be a Vince element. I think Triple H is trying to have his own vision, but still respect Vince on the back end.
Yeah, but Shayna Baszler was a Triple H
Triple
guy.
H, yeah.
Triple H guy. Triple H girl.
Yeah.
That he put a lot of stock into
Without question.
in NXT.
Without question. Arguably the best NXT champion outside of Asuka.
And we could really do something with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey.
I think they team up ultimately.
Either way, you got to take the belt off Liv Morgan. Sorry. She has not elevated the belt. The belt has not elevated her. She's not a good worker. She's not good on the mic. It's cute that they gave it to her.
They fucked up. In my opinion, they fucked up the booking. SummerSlam should have been a clean win. However you want to do it. Ronda Rousey at this point is not Teflon, but she can absorb a Liv Morgan loss. As weird as it may be, because you just don't, if you looked at these two women, you don't see, especially Ronda Rousey. I mean, damn, we know who Ronda Rousey is. She shouldn't lose to Liv Morgan. I get that. But if you can figure out a way to make it look legitimate, you got something going. The way they did it where she taps out, Liv Morgan taps out before the shoulders are pinned, it protects Ronda, I get it, but it makes Liv look weak on the back end. And that was the biggest problem.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Raw, which I watched every single minute of today. Every single minute of. I was done caught up with wrestling today at 9 o'clock. And when I say caught up, I mean shit that I want to watch. So I went back and I watched Raw while I was working.
Not that bullshit you would be watching.
Raw was entertaining from front to back. You know how I know is because when, like I always say, I have these little notes and I always write first segment, second segment, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's only 10 segments that I have written down. And when Vince was in charge, it would be 20. There would be all this random shit in the middle. R-Truth yelling at somebody in the middle. Dana Brooke fucking with somebody in the middle. You know, all this bullshit. My first question, though, is how are you going to have a non-title 24/7 match? It's 24/7. How can it be non-title? Everything's a title all the time.
No, they've done, we disqualified, we're going to suspend the 24/7
I said this so we could
title.
Agree on something, but
no, trust me. I've had this argument for like 2 days on Twitter.
What do you think about Judgment Day versus the Mysterios? Judgment Day opened up Raw. Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest. They open up Raw. That is generally a sign that they have big plans for these guys.
You might want to think so, but I mean, Finn Balor feels like he's the misfit of this bunch. He doesn't, for whatever reason, he can't get over on the mic with WWE fans. He's just not believable, whether it's the size or whether I've seen him in New Japan. He's not the same way, blah, blah, blah. It's not translating the same way it would be if Edge was the leader. Now.
Unbelievable.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
How am I wrong?
No, I think that he is clicking with WWE fans as a heel. I think that Rhea Ripley is. I think that Judgment Day,
Ripley is clicking with WWE fans as a heel.
They're almost presenting Rhea Ripley as the leader of the group, which I also really like.
Kind of, sort of. Because every time I look up, she's dragging somebody across the board, whether it's Dom or Ray or whomever. My only question with Rhea Ripley is, okay, is she back? And if so, where's her title match? The last time I checked, she should have had the Carmella match.
But she'll get the title match eventually, man. She's in the middle of an angle with the Mysterios.
You can do two things at once.
But you don't have to, though, if there's other things going on with the title match.
The Mysterios should take precedence over the women's title?
I mean, yeah, in stories, who cares? Who cares? There's other things
story,
going on.
It's story you should care.
But there's other things going on, though.
You two jokers can't take out the Mysterios so I can go get the WWE Women's Championship? Come on now.
This is not the conversation I thought I was going to have. Okay, so what you think about Tommaso Ciampa and The Miz versus Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander? Pretty entertaining match.
It was really entertaining. I was really hoping that Mustafa Ali and Cedric would go over. I get why they don't. I think this is ultimately the lead-in to get Johnny Gargano back into the WWE. How he comes back in, whose side he's on, I don't know. I don't care. Johnny Gargano's probably best bet is probably going back to WWE. But the match itself I thought was really, really good.
Do you think Tommaso Ciampa and The Miz as a pairing is working?
It's not the best. Go ahead.
Sorry, I asked you a question that I started.
It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's somewhere in the gray. I'm waiting for Gargano to come back, and then Gargano and Ciampa break away from The Miz.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door. Johnny Gargano is not walking through that door.
He's going to WWE.
Robert Parrish is not walking through that door.
He's going to WWE. Do you not think he's going to WWE?
No, I do. And I hope that they put DIY back together because I think that would be pretty major. I don't think that Tommaso Ciampa and Miz is working for me. It seems to be working right now for them. And this is what I want to say, and I want everybody to pump the brakes when they're like, man, WWE has so much momentum right now, because that's what they call the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's like this company has been putting on such fucking sludge, such bullshit, such terrible television for so long that when they start doing television that's as good as it was 10 years ago,
and that's being nice.
But when they start putting on television that's actually worth watching, everybody's like, oh, man, this company's really got the momentum. It's like, no. You look at AEW, and they got CM Punk fucking shooting on somebody, and they have this weird shit happen in the ending. They got Kenny Omega coming back. So let's just pump the brakes. I'm an AEW.
Adam Cole's coming back here in a little bit.
I'm an AEW sexual, no doubt. But I just love wrestling of all time, and I'm not tribalist about it. Like, give me good wrestling.
Right.
So let's just pump the brakes. But they are putting on a very watchable show.
That's the issue. It makes fucking sense.
Yeah, it's watchable now.
When Dexter Lumis comes around all of a sudden in the end at the main event, it's like every week he gets a little closer to AJ.
And you don't know who he's going after.
You really don't. I'm assuming he's going after AJ Styles.
See, I think he might be going after The Miz.
Why would he go after The Miz?
Why not? How do we know that he's a heel?
We don't know. Obviously, we don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, my head of heads, Dexter Lumis is going to come off as this weird, crazy guy, the psychopath or whatever. Not necessarily, Champa style, but just, more so left or right, whichever you want to call it, more extreme. If you're going to get somebody over, you want to put them over somebody that's established. That's AJ Styles. AJ Styles would have no problem going down to
Have
Dexter
they
Lumis.
said his name yet?
No.
They have not said his name yet.
Actually, I take that back. I think they said it Monday night.
Because he jumped the barricade,
Right.
and they got him right away.
Right. And which is different than AEW. And this is the only thing I want to point out. I hate to even compare the two, but I got to compare the two right now. AEW is a little different with Mox and Punk because it feels real. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain element about it that is a shoot part.
Right.
Whether it's 5%, 10%, whatever.
Well, sure.
They don't really like each other.
Are we to believe that the car that was crashing a couple weeks ago
was Dexter Lumis.
Dexter Lumis?
That's my thought.
So they're just telling a long-term story.
Boom. Great to have
Fucking
WWE around in 2022, fellas.
Now let's talk about this next segment, which was my favorite segment of the show.
You better not say what I think you're getting ready to say.
No, where McIntyre and KO went at it.
Okay.
What do you think I was going to say?
Ezekiel in the fucking hospital.
Oh, no. That was funny, though. That was still pretty funny. You know I like shit like that.
No, I'm like, you better not.
But McIntyre comes out, cuts a babyface promo about facing Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle.
Wouldn't you like to have me as champ?
KO comes out, pushes all those buttons. I mean, he really... Now, listen, that's the most believable that Drew McIntyre has been as a babyface in a long time. And that heel promo...
Since he became the champion. Before the champ, I was on board.
Well, he said he carried this company on his back, and KO came out and said, you did what?
I mean, Drew ain't lying. I mean, he's not completely lying.
My favorite part, KO seemed to say all the things. Now, you can tell it wasn't scripted. Like,
No.
They were KO was fucking with him.
Yeah, they were definitely off script, dare I say, impromptu. And that's the one thing that we've been missing from, at least for me, missing.
That's what I'm saying. It's the best that Drew McIntyre's looked in a long time.
Because you just let him speak.
Right, just let him speak. And then KO comes in. My favorite part was when KO said, well, first of all, I'm hoping that him and Sami Zayn take the tag titles off of the Usos eventually, because he did mention he mentioned Sami Zayn in that promo.
He did.
And he goes, I've had every title, but it's been 5 years since I had a title. He's like, I'm coming for every title. I see the U.S., the tag belts. He said, I'm coming for every title. I'm coming for the Universal title. Badass promo. KO solidifies himself every time he talks as my favorite guy in the company. That's fine. It doesn't have to be your favorite.
No. I agree with you totally. I'm glad that he's back to NXT KO versus the watered down
total
WWE
badass.
Botch.
And then, so Drew McIntyre does his whole thing, says, we're wrestlers, we're standing wrestle ring, let's freaking wrestle. And KO, who's the prize fighter, looks at him and says, well, you're not a prize, but you're on. And he throws the mic. And I was like, oh!
Game on, motherfucker. Let's do this.
Fuck yeah.
And that's all we ever need. Vince, God bless him. I get it. People love Vince because Vince, put this shit on a whole nother level. I get it. It's global now. We're doing, pay-per-view buys or premium live events, whatever. It can be that simple sometimes. Sometimes it can just be that simple. I don't like you. You don't like me. Fuck you.
Just let the best talker in your company, let him rip.
Please.
And then let the other guy rip too.
It's a counterpuncher. I'm not expecting Drew McIntyre to carry that segment. I expect Kevin Owens to carry that segment. And then Drew McIntyre play off of Kevin Owens. It was so well done. It was another good example of what is different.
He's like, sometimes you got a sword. So good.
And that's why I love Kevin Owens.
So good.
Right there.
We had another good. Listen, I think the Seth Rollins iteration, I think he's on fire.
It's the best Seth Rollins character, period. The Visionary was good. The guy that beat Brock Lesnar was good. This dude is on a whole nother level. And like I'm saying, if it was me and I had the pencil, I know there's rumors that, you're going to take one belt off of Roman Reigns. Fuck that. I'm taking both belts off of Roman Reigns. I'm putting on Seth Rollins until Cody gets back, and we're doing this shit at WrestleMania, and we're going to do it big.
He said two things that were really great. He said the riddle. He called it his stupid, stompable head. And he also goes, maybe you should retire from wrestling. Maybe you should get into farming. I hear that's a very lucrative business these days.
I was like, yeah, yes it is. As a matter of fact, go ahead, Riddle. Get your own product out, man. Do your thing.
We had a Veer squash, which I'm a fan of. We got one squash show. Have it be a guy like Veer.
Fine. If that's going to be the guy that you want to move forward, that's the guy. Him and Omos are going to be the two guys in the gray area.
Veer's better than Omos, though.
I'm not saying that they're both okay, but I mean, either one is.
Veer can talk if he needs to, though. Omos can't.
Veer can wrestle. Omos can't.
Okay, so that's 2-0. So what does Omos have?
He's 7'6". Yeah, right.
Lashley versus AJ.
This is what I
want. Liked it?
Yeah. How can you not like it? I mean, this is what I want my mid-title cards to be. If Lashley already has won the title, which is a bad example of what I'm going to give, but let's just say Ricochet, because Ricochet is somebody that has kind of picked up a little steam, not too crazy, but somebody that's in the mid-card right now. If Ricochet was the U.S. champion, I would want Ricochet to have 4, 5, 6 title defenses, drop it to like Gunther at that point. Now you've built up Ricochet. You have Gunther, reaping the Ricochet rewards. Everybody wins. This makes sense. It's just.
So now we're fancy booking WWE and stuff that's actually cool and stuff that's actually possible instead of just shit that's cool and not possible.
Well, I mean, a lot with WWE, it was just a lot of times it's just a factory, Here's Roman Reigns, and we're just going to feed somebody into Roman Reigns. Feed somebody into Roman Reigns. It was always top-heavy. It's never really – the U.S. title hasn't been really interesting in a long time. IC title hasn't been interesting in a long time.
Everybody that was on TV tonight or Monday night had a story. They're in an angle.
Of
everybody
some
is
consequence.
It's not random shit.
No.
Everybody's in an angle.
And now
they even seem to blow off Austin Theory versus Dolph Ziggler in the main event.
Which I disagree with that totally. The only reason I disagree with that
You don't think it's a blow off?
No, because Austin Theory won clean.
Well, that's a blow off. That's what happens in a blow off.
No,
if there's fuckery, that's when they keep going. That's a blow off, dude.
I
might be wrong because
I'm not saying that
it seems like it seemed to me like they're abandoning the story that they started.
There's no guarantee that Dolph Ziggler doesn't stop Austin Theory at some form or fashion. The next cash in, it happens. Austin Theory comes in the cash in. Dolph Ziggler cuts him off. I don't think it's the end. If it is the end, it's a good way to end it because Austin Theory goes over and he goes over clean even more so.
But I'm just saying, just don't tell me that WWE's the hotter product.
No,
when their main event, Austin Theory versus Dolph Ziggler, and the other one's got Kenny Omega and the Bucks versus Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee.
I don't care about the numbers. I don't give a shit about that. Okay,
I don't either. Just don't tell me that WWE's the hotter product. AEW is always hotter.
They've
it's
had
just
like
better.
2 or 3 good weeks. Okay, let's start. Fold me into the pay-per-view.
All of a sudden, WWE decides to have a watchable program.
Now all of a sudden, it's great.
Right, exactly.
The best promotion.
Thank you. That's nice.
New Japan's the best promotion.
This is banned from ringside.
Did you watch Heatwave this week?
Actually, I did peep in a little bit. I saw
Carmelo Hayes versus.
I didn't see that match. I saw that Carmelo Hayes won, but
it was awesome.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say really good things about that.
Braun Breaker beats JD McDonough in the main event for the belt, and Tyler Bate comes out, holds up his UK NXT title, which he has not won on television yet. Yeah. Apparently, it was back taped, and the poor bastards over there in the UK had to learn that Tyler Bate won the championship before seeing it on TV.
Motherfuckers was hot. I'm like, damn, Tyler Bate won?
Sorry, you gnarly tooth motherfuckers.
No. Sorry, good
R.I.P. the Queen.
No, sorry, good guy, bad cop. He didn't.
R.I.P. the Queen. She died, right?
Shit. I'll just say this: if this is going to be, I guess, here's the question: is we feel like this is going to be a unification of
because
UK
apparently
and
NXT
2.0?
UK is becoming NXT Europe, and NXT 2.0 is going to become NXT 3.0.
So why
they're going to unify the shit?
Why wouldn't you have 2 champions?
Dude, I don't know. We're in the multiverse of madness.
Yeah, true story. There's a lot of shit going on.
What else happened? There was something else that happened.
Mandy Rose.
Oh, the Diamond Mine shit was good. Did you see Diamond Mine?
I saw that
where they brought up the tape where Tony D was
like, hey man, come on over here, hit
that
this
was good.
motherfucker.
That was good. That's long-term booking, guys.
It is.
I will say this: that Tyler Bate has been in. We've been doing this podcast for 5 years. We've had 4 beefers, and 2 of my match of the years
has Tyler Bate
in it. So Tyler Bate is a very fun wrestler. Him versus Pete Dunne, and then him versus Walter, which was a 44-minute absolute shit show. Like, incredible match.
I need to go back and watch that motherfucker. Now that you said that, I'm just like, woo.
Remember how good that was? God damn. It just kept going and going, but it kept getting better. NXT. Santos Escobar lost in a loser leaves town, or loser leaves the promotion.
I guess
he's coming up, right?
Yeah, he better be. Otherwise, we got a problem.
Is he the Latino / Hispanic? I know there's a difference between the two, but is he the one that they've been waiting for? Guy can cut a promo. He can speak English.
No,
and that's not a knock on Andrade, but that was definitely a knock on Andrade from their perspective.
Yeah.
Santos Escobar can fight.
I like Santos. I just don't think that's the wagon they want to hitch onto for the Latin.
I'm going to make a prediction. I think that he's coming up, and I think that he's going to be a big deal. They're going to make him a big deal.
He's coming up. I just don't know if he's going to be that big deal or not.
No, Mom. Jesus Christ.
This is banned from ringside.
Hey, we got some birthdays this week.
Sorry, Mom. We doing birthdays first, and I'm going to call you back.
Lillian Garcia, 56. Velveteen Dream. No, where's that dude at?
32.
The 30 block 32 at a penitentiary.
Oh, I was guessing his age.
Byron Saxton, no, he's 27. Byron Saxton is 41. Walter, the aforementioned Walter Gunther, is 35. Nathan Jones, you remember Nathan Jones?
Vaguely, yeah. I was about to say tall, white guy, bald head.
I think he was in a WrestleMania match with Taker where they were a tag team, right?
Sounds right, yeah.
I think that was Taker's only tag team match
In the
on
street.
WrestleMania, yeah. So he's 53.
So that shouldn't count.
He's 53. It
That
counts.
shouldn't count.
It counts.
No, it
He
doesn't
won.
count.
He won.
It doesn't count.
That means Nathan Jones
20
is
20
Nathan Jones
and
is 1-0 at WrestleMania. Trent Seven is 41. Eve.
Just released by WWE. I saw that today.
I'm not going to tell you about Eve. She was very attractive. She's 38. Roe from War Raiders. I don't know if he's Eric or Ivar. I think he's Ivar. He's 38.
I don't care. I'm
Stevie
still
Ray. You want to guess how old Stevie Ray is?
He's better be older than me. He's 56.
He's 64,
Jesus
motherfucker. Black don't crack. Paul Ellering is 69. The Usos, only 37. Pac is 36. Apollo
Good.
Crews is 35.
Good.
Funaki, indeed, is 54.
Even
Vince
better. Older
McMahon,
than
happy
me.
birthday. I think you're having a good one, brother. He's
ain't
77. Rocky Johnson,
R.I.P.
Dwayne Johnson's dad, it would have been 78. And Grand Metalik is 34.
Surprisingly, he's still alive.
Rabbit fever, middle of the
Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Vice,
Check.
for Joey O'Farrell,
Check.
for Tender Mahal,
Check.
for Murray the Murray Man Murray, for
Check.
Lucha Chris, for
Check.
Patriot Pat, for
Check.
Grandel Wrestling. Go
Double
look up
check.
Grandel Wrestling.
We
Follow
doing
him
the
on
boss,
Twitter.
baby.
Big shows coming up. Big shows coming up with Grandel Wrestling. For Two Beer Zach Pullman,
Check.
for the dog Reba, for Jason Cornelius
These
Bell.
wild bitches.
I am Heel Veggie. Yes, I'm the Heel Veggie. All you other Heel Veggies are just imitating. So won't the real Heel Veggie please stand up? Who the heels?